Hello, everyone. It's great to be with you again. Welcome back to the lift with your Auntie Sheila. Yes, I am in the house. This channel, listen, we've got it all the messages here, mental health, movement, motivation, and the best relationship advice around. I'm just delighted to share today's message with you. It is actually coming based on request. Someone reached out having an issue with their child and basically sent me a note through the YouTube platform. There's a lot of videos about forgiveness, but there's not that many about reconciliation. So I said I would create a message where I'm more or less going to talk about both. And I certainly hope that anyone who's listening will find this helpful. So the message today, forgiveness and reconciliation. Why bother? Why bother in the first place? This channel is just really about transparency and the messages I'm delivering. I draw a lot on not just my clinical experience. I've been a therapist for nearly 30 years, but personal experiences as well, my conversations with all of you. So everything is in the mix, as well as various spiritual insights and perspectives that I've gathered over the years. And forgiveness and reconciliation is a huge topic. It's an important topic for our lives. Full transparency, there was a point in my life I thought I had told myself, oh, I'm a forgiving person. I'm a good person. I let go of things. That just was not the case. And quite frankly, the Lord started dealing with me in a serious way on just holding resentments and grudges. I'm not going to get into that so much in this message. I'll likely make a follow-up about that. But for all of you who are living this life and also acknowledge that you're taking a spiritual walk, when I say it in this way that the Lord dealt with me, you could you understand where I'm coming from. Things started to happen where I had to confront myself in these little slights, offenses, resentments, lack of forgiveness that I was giving people. I was holding on to this stuff. And so things were put in my face where I was confronted with myself. And I started to make some dramatic changes in my concepts about what it truly means to be a decent person, a loving person, and a forgiving person. I can tell you today, I absolutely feel that forgiveness, being a forgiving person, having a forgiving spirit, I don't even necessarily see it as kind of a cute option. Oh, you can choose or not. Theoretically, you can choose, but this human walk, let's be honest about it. How much forgiveness have you needed to just make it? I'll raise my own hand. I've needed so much grace and forgiveness. So much grace and forgiveness, that's come from God, the angels, it's come from people. God works through people, so that grace that people give you, that's really the Lord in action, and I couldn't make it without it. I've made missteps, I've messed up, do-overs, I'm sorry, what was I thinking? This is the walk we're taking. Some of what we're doing, it's elegant, it's flawless. Some of life, but there's a whole mountain and heap of it that is like, I'm trying to get this thing figured out. I messed up. I need grace and forgiveness. It's necessary. And so when I was being dealt with in a spiritual sense, what kept coming through my spirit over and over again is, are you kidding me, Sheila? Are you kidding me? All the grace, the generosity, the mercy that's been shown to you over and over again, and that's what you're holding on to? That's what you're not going to let that go? And when I was in this period of time, it just became very clear to me, if the good Lord had been as punitive with me as I have been with others, my life would look a lot different. It would not look the way it does right now. If I had been dealt with as harshly, judgment, as I have dealt with some people along the way. And I also believe in my heart that we're here to learn and grow and to expand our souls. That just cannot be done without mistakes and missteps. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that I think what can happen a lot is we equate, and again, I'll get to the reconciliation part in a moment, but we equate forgiveness with weakness. It, in some instances associated with, I don't want to be walked on, I don't want to be walked over. I had that twisted too. I don't feel that way anymore. I do understand from the inside out now that forgiveness is not always an easy thing, but it's absolutely a show of strength, maturity, and a level of emotional freedom. I see it very much through a different lens. It's that constant grace that we're giving, because we're giving it out because we get so much of it. We get so much of it. And, if you think about a time that you've been shown that grace, whether it's from a parent, a friend, maybe it was a coworker, they could have reacted one way, they could have held a grudge. Send me a note in the response section of this message, of this YouTube. Send me a note if you didn't feel anything other than refreshed and revived, and you felt a sense of relief. You felt a sense of renewal and restoration, because that's what forgiveness does. That is what forgiveness is. And I'm going to address some of the, how often do you forgive? This person is making a fool of me. I'm not going to dispute that we can forgive and walk in wisdom at the same time. It's the resentment, it's the grudge, it's the holding on to the energy that I'm talking about. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. When you refuse to forgive, you are holding someone prisoner in your heart. That's exactly what it is. And if you know anything about what it costs to keep a prisoner fed and clothed anywhere in the world, it's very expensive. You have to expend energy. You have to expend energy to keep a resentment in place. And you'll notice the more that you grow emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, it's actually a turn off to the soul. You just don't want it. One of the reasons that I'm interested in a different way now in just forgiveness, granting people forgiveness, I choose not to deal with that energy of resentment. I don't want that swirling around within me. It takes too much energy. I have to nurse it. I have to focus on it, pay attention to it. I don't want to do that. So every day when I'm praying, I release. I'm like, if there's any resentment I'm holding, any prisoners sneak back in there, I release you. Well, to release to what, Sheila? Release to God. As you understand God, if you're a spiritual person taking that walk, that's what I do. I release. That's the best gift you can give anyone, because anyone who has caused you friction, upset, stress, people who are in any type of meaningful relationship with the creator of all creation, they don't cause a lot of perpetually stress and strife. We all mess up. But the best thing you can do is give someone God, because when you step into that light and energy field, that's a transformation right there. So that's the best light to release an individual into. I want to talk about some of the benefits of forgiveness. Then I'm going to talk about reconciliation. One of the benefits of forgiveness, it just allows you to stay in a constant state of grace and remain aware of other people's states. I will reference 2 videos for you. Watch my video. It's called I Forgive and Choose Not to Move Forward. That helps with understanding some nuances on reconciliation. And then I did a video for the Swedenborg Foundation. It was all about understanding states, relationship, and states of mind that people are in. I'm telling you right now, I've been as honest as I can. This work has informed me, okay? There is no way for you to know what kind of state of mind a person is in. There's many energies, some of it dark influences, some of it heavenly influences. Energies are flowing in and out of people all the time. Some of it is fantastic. Some people are extremely compromised without any tools to ground themselves. So when people are doing things that you don't understand, it's not always to, harm you. Sometimes they're not exactly in the driver's seat. I'm not making excuses for anyone, but I can tell you, I'll give you a perfect example. There's someone in my family, the level of behavior, just the disconnect that people deal with this individual and don't understand. There's just been a lot of fallout from this person with their toxic behaviors. Yes, there's mental health issues, but they are also some of what they do. And many folks in the family say, it's just pure evil. It's pure evil. Well, yes, I would agree, but they're joined with evil. It's a combination from what I can see, mental health compromised. There's just an evil inflow coming in there. And when you look at least from my perspective, when you pair, what is evil, when someone is acting out of evil, they have consciously or unconsciously joined with this energy, and they're not fighting it, because when you make a decision, there's something flowing through me that is negative. I'm going to fight it. That's fighting the good fight. And at some point in life, we are all, you got an angel on this shoulder. You've seen those little cartoons, and a devil on the other one. It's not too far-fetched. We're all moving in and out of various states. And when someone is joined with that energy, again, they are under specific influences, and everyone does not have the tools. Again, well, whose fault is that? I would tell you straight up, everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. Yet I can also tell you that there are people, I've worked with them personally, they've been so joined with that energy for so long. I would reference a book, I'm blanking on the author, but it's called When Pigs Move In. When Pigs Move In. It's an excellent book, and it talks about the battle that people who are, they're joined with evil, they've been entertaining it, they don't have a way to mount a fight through prayer, prayer walls built around them, how they just become overrun with, undesirable behaviors, acting things out with individuals. I'll reference another one of my videos. It's called Evil's Double Play. And oftentimes those individuals are used because they're so joined and their resistance is much lower. They are used by those evil influence to wreak havoc in the lives of others. So while I'm not making excuses for anyone, I can tell you, having done this work long enough and having personal experiences, I do hold out a great deal of compassion for these individuals, because while they may create problems for, many of us, you're listening to this message, that those influences also rob them of the most beautiful experiences and relationships in life. And that's what evil does. It comes, it's biblical, comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what it does. I've sat across from people who've told me, I do not know happiness. I have never known happiness. I live with a dark cloud and these feelings over me, and it has been this way for so long. See, that's joined with that energy, and it is heartbreaking. So again, I'm not making excuses, but I want you to understand that when you adopt a position of, I'm taking this walk and going to be as forgiving as possible, hold your horses, I'll get to the reconciliation, you will stay in a constant state of grace and see the fragrance remains in the hand that extends the rose. You cannot be loving and kind and not benefit from that yourself. Okay, that's your fragrance. You keep it. I think everyone understands what I'm saying. The second benefit is you just travel lighter and easier. You keep those prisoners and, I'm not going to forgive, I'm going to resent. Well, nurse it. Feed them. I don't want anyone in my heart. I've got to feed you 3 meals a day, 3 hots and a cot. I've got to heat you. I've got to make sure you have air conditioning in the summertime. If you tap on my door, I've got to respond. I don't want that. So when we say, I'm going to forgive you, go on, I'm giving you to the Lord, you're going to travel a lot lighter. That's the first thing, or the second thing. Now, third, it helps us to see people in the world differently. When we adopt this forgiveness stance, you just begin to see people. This is another human being. They have been affected and influenced, as have I, making it the best way they can. People say, Sheila, I don't think they're doing their best. Who are you to say? Their best may look like hell, a SHIT show to you. But again, I've been dealing with enough people, like it may not look like much to you, but for them, they're working at full throttle. They've organized things in a way that this makes perfect sense. And so when we come at it from that compassionate perspective, you start to look at it a lot differently. And there's just less judgment and more, okay, we're coming at it from the compassionate perspective. Let's talk about a little bit about reconciliation. What is reconciliation? Why does it happen in some instances? Why does it not happen? And what can you do to set yourself up for the best chance of reconciliation? Maybe you're seeking reconciliation right now. Let's talk about reconciliation. Essentially, how I would define it, reconciliation is coming back together. It's a coming back together. And sometimes there's forgiveness with reconciliation, and there'll be forgiveness without. I think many times reconciliation does not happen. Number one, it could be like the person has just been hurt over and over again, and they just, for various reasons, like, I cannot do the reconciliation part. It may not be safe for them emotionally or physically to grant reconciliation. Please, I refer to my video again. I forgive you, but choose not to continue. For me personally, there's been some situations in my life where I've been on both sides of it. I can remember I messed up. I got an invitation to a very special event for a dear friend of mine. I was not okay emotionally at the time. My thinking wasn't clear. I was going through things, and I just didn't RSVP. I didn't RSVP in a timely fashion. I missed it, and I don't know. It was just a messed up time of life. I went back after some time had passed, I was quite ashamed of myself. And more or less kind of just threw myself into a request for just mercy and forgiveness. And I just felt horrible. My friend did grant reconciliation. We're great friends to this day. I believe it was because, well, this person just has a great heart anyway, but one of the things that I've seen in practice over the years is it's a mistake that I think folks make. They don't go far enough with a request for forgiveness. I mean, a thorough request for forgiveness, I'm just being real with this, can go a long way. And there's been a couple times in life, and I've, done a lot of reconciliation, forgiveness, what have you. But I can think of the times that I forgave and did not add that reconciliation onto it. In general, it was because I'm still scared as hell. The request for forgiveness, it did not go far. Not that, I've ever needed anyone to kiss my behind. You probably don't either, but I was so nervous. I don't know why this happened in the first place. I don't want it to happen again. So I think a heartfelt apology and request for reconciliation goes a long way. I want to give you some language. If you're seeking reconciliation, it can set you up for the best chance. And some of that language is, I value this relationship. People need to know, I value you in my life. I messed up. You mean something to me. You mean something. I'm so sorry. This was my state of mind when XYZ happened. I need to pull you into my state of mind. I'm so sorry. And I'm asking for an opportunity to continue. And I need to know, what can I do to make it better? What can I do for you to make this better? I'm interested in continuing. They may not be ready in that moment, but when you're ready, I'll be here. I'll be here. You need to go as far as you can in a heartfelt apology. And by the way, if you're not sorry, don't offer it. If you just want to reconcile for convenience, just don't offer it. It's not going to work in the long run. But if you're really sorry, you let them know what they mean to you. Drop ego. You can put that stuff aside. Drop ego if you want to make this thing work. Now, what about if they don't want to grant you the reconciliation? Okay, we have to respect that. But I'm a firm believer. I leave doors cracked. And what you want to do, check in once a year or every other year with a little card. See, leave the door cracked because circumstances change. I've had, relationships rekindled, renewed. They're in a different state of mind. They're in a different headspace. And it's like, okay, we can get together. How you doing? Let's talk. So see, the reconciliation and coming back together, at the end of the day, if it's meant to be, it's going to be. So to give yourself the best chance, if you're seeking reconciliation, come straight from the heart. People play a lot of little games for control. I don't want them to know how I feel. I mean, what kind of games are we playing here? This is not a dress rehearsal. If someone has been good to you and you want them in your life, drop the ego. I'm sorry. You mean something to me. My life without you in it will not be the same. Now, what do you do if someone is just, you've given it all and they want to hold on to this? And I'm going to say this in the program today. Some people, what they want to hold on to the victimhood. They want to hold on to the pain. They're not going to admit it, but they get something out of it. I've seen it. I'm like, you're still holding on to this. They want to hold on to it. They get something out of it. Then all you can do is you know that you've done your part. Know that the good Lord saw what you did, and that is something to make peace with. That I tried, and I was 100%. The integrity was there. The honesty was there. And you need to move on. And like I said, move to the method, keep the door cracked. but you need to move on. And if someone just, if they're going to torture you during this process, that's not healthy either. When we forgive, throwing things in people's face, that is not healthy, and that is not what forgiveness is. Because if you've truly forgiven, why would you want to relive a hurt or a wound? That's the last thing I want to do. If I've forgiven you, I forgive you all the way, and bless you, and God bless you. And if it's a situation where I just, I can't, there's too much damage that's been done, then you give an authentic blessing to this individual. We're not going to move forward on reconciliation, but you give an authentic blessing. And if that reconciliation is granted, you're in a very fragile state in the relationship. You're rebuilding. It's about trust. It's about consistency. It's about, proving. You said I was valuable. I'm showing you how much I value the relationship. So that's a very delicate time. You want to put that cocooning around the relationship. And I'll tell you that I've not seen a family, couples, individuals, co-workers, you come through something that you needed to reconcile and forgive. Man, that relationship is stronger. Where it's possible, I do love forgiveness with reconciliation. Where it's possible, it's not always for different circumstances. But I think that to withhold forgiveness and reconciliation, that's a bonus. It can go with it, but I don't know. This is just my opinion. I feel to withhold that when we have been dealt with so graciously, that's something to take a look at. I can't live anyone's life for you, but I can just tell you, being positioned as I am in so many people's lives over the years, we all hit it. And I'll tell you that this desire, people have told me, well, I just feel like they weren't punished sufficiently. I'm withholding my forgiveness. They just need to be punished more. That's really not your job. And plus, you can't punish appropriately. None of us can, because you don't know the full situation. Like, your punishment would not be appropriate. The only real, judge and jury is the Lord, because they see it all. So they know the most befitting punishment, if you will, or reparations. So that's where that should be. That's what that should be left to. I'll tell you that just as goodness is its own reward, it all by itself, there's just life and energy rewards goodness. Meanness, constant errors and negativity, it's its own punishment. So people who are perpetually up to shenanigans, it just doesn't work out in the long run. And I don't mean, they'll eventually, end up in hell. I'm not even talking about that. In this lifetime, it's these shenanigans, it's its own punishment. It just is. It's just, these aren't my laws. It's just natural law. I hope that this message has been helpful, useful. Some of these nuggets, please let me know what you think in the comments. Oh, and guess what? We made it to 21K, to 21,000 awesome subscribers. So I'm happy about that. We're getting the word out. The channel is growing. Please don't be selfish. If you're loving what I'm doing, share the news of the channel with your friends and family. I'll be back real soon with some more delicious nuggets.